or left to that. While I've been preparing for this for years, it almost didn't seem true with the amount of rushing and hastiness that was present in my departure. I never had time to really realize that everything I had been wanting for so long was finally taking place, and I was about to set off on the journey of a lifetime.
Awesome, bud. How else can we get there?
Saying goodbye to my parents was bittersweet. While I was leaving behind all that I had known and am comfortable with, the potential of what the future could hold was so enticing, and I couldn't help but be excited. I've always been the type of person to pursue adventure and new opportunities, but this has been my biggest undertaking yet. While I did decide to break the trip up into longer portions, it's still going to be almost 30,000 kilometers, now stretching over the course of a couple years. I tend to always live by the principle of go big or go home, and I'm not planning on going home. Not yet. Once I got on the highway, it really started to set in that this was happening and that I was setting out to do what I've been aiming to do for almost 3 years now. However, it took me a while to realize exactly what I was doing. There were times before I left where I was thinking to myself, this is quite possibly the last time I will ever get to do this, in this spot, with these people. But then isn't every moment like that in life? Time is fleeting, and so are we. Life is meant to be lived in the present moment. Not worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, but fully embodying what it means to be here, now. There are a lot of things that made me nervous or excited, and so many other mixtures of emotions. But I knew that this would allow me to become more of who I am, grow as a person mentally, emotionally, and most of all, spiritually. Leaving behind everything I've ever known, the place I grew up, all the memories and relationships I built here, my family and friends, my whole life. The trade-off would be uncertainty, but in that uncertainty lies the possibility for greatness, for fun, adventure, new stories to be made, experiences to be had, and new relationships to be forged. As I set off on this journey with my final destination being Costa Rica, the first phase of my trip will be getting across Canada. From Ottawa, Ontario to Tofino, Vancouver Island, British Columbia. A mere 5,000 kilometer journey. I've been looking forward to being able to explore more of my own country. I've been wanting to get out of this place for so long, but being able to really dive into the places that encompass the country that I grew up in, it has really sparked my interest, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this. When I was younger, I went out east, and it was a pretty amazing time. I got to do it with my family when I was a kid, and it was a great memory. I also spent my first year of college in British Columbia near Vancouver, and when I was out there I knew that I had to be back at some point, and since then I've been back several times. I've done smaller trips, like last year with my sister, we went to Vancouver and Vancouver Island, and that's when I knew I had to go back to Tofino. So now that I have work lined up on the island, that's where I'll be spending the next little period of my life until I'm ready to move on and continue the journey. Canada is so full of so many gems and natural beauty, and it makes me extremely grateful and excited to be able to pursue this trip in my home country, and I am so excited to be able to share that with all of you. The journey of 28,000 kilometers starts now.
Well guys, it is my first night sleeping in the RV. It is my second day on the road. Last night I slept at my Nana's house in Sudbury. I'm in Wawa now. Drove through several blizzards. Luckily here there's no snow, so I escaped the snow. And it's freezing cold, so I need to try and get my propane heater to work. Let's cross our fingers and hope that that works. But it's like 1 in the morning. I've been driving since about 4:30. And I'm hoping to get a decent start tomorrow, maybe around 9-10. So, and the plan is to get to Thunder Bay or possibly further. I know. So, I'm gonna go do that and I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in the morning. Peace. Excuse me. Alright. We're up. We're freezing. We're gonna get gas and get on the road.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't doubt that I'd be able to pull this off in time. The amount of time I spent on making this dream a reality, I never took in how it would feel when it actually came around. And if I'm being 100% honest, it still doesn't. It was always something I was reaching for. Every day, it was what can I do right now to get me closer to my goal, but it always seemed so far away. Until it wasn't. It didn't feel real, and it was hard for me to fully accept that I had made it happen and to enjoy it. There were plenty of times when I was focused on getting somewhere instead of enjoying the present moment. And if the present moment isn't enjoyed, then we'll never enjoy anything in life. Because that's all we ever have. Even if it's driving through blizzards, getting gas for the millionth time, simply just taking in everything around you. It's the little moments that make up our lives.
Grand Rising family, we are in Dryden, Ontario, where we just spent the night at an RV park so I could plug in and use my electric heater. We're about to get back on the road. First order of business is to take this guy out. Then I gotta go pay, get gas, and we'll be on our way to Winnipeg, and then we'll decide how far we're gonna go from there. So he's being a bit weird right now, so I think he needs to go out really badly. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
You were married in Savannah to red wine and a soul white.
Let's get this show on the road. So he actually ended up charging me $50, and I thought it was $40, but either way it seems steep for just parking for 12 hours, but I digress. Let's go.
Wedding ring, a church you could see from Manhattan, 'cause you knew that's exactly where I would be.
This was the most northern point I had to drive through, hence the frigid temperatures and snowy roads. It was also a nice last little glimpse of winter as I know it. Growing up in Ontario, we get a lot of snow, and while I don't think I'm built for the cold, That first glimpse of all white really is something quite special.
Breathing in, breathing out. How you been? You settled down. You feeling right? You feeling proud? How are your kids? Where are they now? You build a boat, you build a life. You lose your friends, you lose your wife. You settle in to routine. Where are you?
We are officially in Manitoba. Looks the exact same.
If I get too close, and I'm not how you hoped. Fuck if I know that attitude. Oh, I was raised out in the cold. If the sun don't rise till the summertime. Fuck if I know that attitude. Oh, I was raised on little light. Bought some shit, search online, you're getting lost.
Okay, I'm at a gas station in Winnipeg, and there's no way I'm staying here, so I was just doing a little bit of mechanic diagnostic, as I've been having that problem just starting today on my way here, where it'll just cut out. It's like acting as if it's getting too much fuel rather than not enough, because when I cut the pump, I'm able to kind of bring it back to life. But it could also be a vacuum issue. I just found a vacuum hose that was open, so I plugged it. We'll see if that makes a difference, but I'm just gonna keep driving. There's no one in Winnipeg that's available to even take me in to test my vacuum or anything, because I don't have a vacuum gauge with me. So I'm just gonna keep driving. Maybe a smaller town will have some availability, so wish me luck. And we are back in the doghouse. Okay, I'm in Regina. It's like 4 in the morning here, which is like 6 in the morning from my original time zone in Ottawa. And I'm just now parking, finishing my drive for the day. Probably the most brutal day I've had so far. And I couldn't find a place to plug in for the night, so I have no heat. And my gray water tank is frozen. So, yeah. I'm in a shopping center parking lot. And I haven't eaten in like 2 days almost. Because I've been so busy. I do have some food, but it's just been crazy. The winter is not fun. So cold. I'm using my oven to keep me warm. Obviously I can't leave this on all night, so I have to turn it off before I sleep, but just trying to warm up my hands. The propane heater only worked again for like 10 minutes, and then it just backfires and blows cold air. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it doesn't work very well to begin with anyway, so yeah. Day in the life, huh? Please, 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 please. Oh yeah. First crank. She's rough and rowdy, ready to go. So am I.
As I covered more ground and passed through more towns, the more focused I became on getting to my destination. This isn't exactly what I wanted, as I was looking to take it slow and enjoy the drive. But I felt I had an obligation to my new job to be there at a certain time, and I wanted to honor my word. This resulted in long days of driving, gas stations, and more driving. In this time, I had a lot of time to reflect on my life, and for the first time in a long time, I had nothing to say to myself. Everything inside was quiet. I knew what I was doing, what I had signed up for. Despite being boring from an outside pair of eyes, it was actually what I enjoyed most about the drive. Sure, there were plenty of amazing sights, but the tranquility of just me and the empty roads were what granted me the most peace.
Alright guys, we're in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and I basically barely made it here. I'm still having that issue where I'll be driving at the highway speed and then it kind of just stalls out. Sometimes if I keep my foot down, it picks back up, Sometimes it doesn't. And then sometimes when I, like recently today, when I pull over after it happens, I can't start it up for a while, but eventually it does start. So to me, it's sounding like either there's too much fuel or there's no spark. Like it's misfiring essentially. It'll misfire, and then it backfires, and then we lose power. So I'm going to do my spark plugs. I'm gonna do the plugs now, and then we'll start it up, clean the carb again, put in everything, go get gas, get back on the road, see how it does. We got a little bit of a project on our hands here, so let's go. Okay, I got passenger side done, and this is driver's side. About the same, seems to have evened out. Alright, we should be good to go. I went to go get food. I was gonna eat, but I dropped it on the ground, so let's go. Alright, we're fueled. We are ready to go. The next time I'm stopping, other than for gas, is in Calgary. So, from, where are we right now? Swift Current to Calgary. Let's go.
There were many times where I thought I was going to freeze solid, or be stranded in the middle of nowhere, and it had happened a couple of times. Given that I'm driving a 40-year-old RV, I figured it was inevitable, despite the mass amount of mechanical work I'd done prior to my departure. These things happen, and they're not the end of the world. Unless you're all alone in below freezing conditions in the middle of the prairies with nothing in sight for miles and a dead phone. But it kind of feels like it just might be.
Alright guys, we are currently parked in Calgary, Alberta. We're just at a truck stop. Nice little rest area, and as I had mentioned, we're having that issue with the stalling on the freeway, accompanied by a backfire, and then when I pull over, I have a hard start. I have to let it sit and wait for me to get it to start up again before I can continue driving. So to me, that indicates it's a spark issue. So yesterday I did my plugs, as you saw, and it made it better getting it to start back up and less frequent stalling, but it still happened a couple times within the span of a few hours of driving. So obviously the problem is not fully fixed. So I believe that it's my ignition coil, or possibly the ignition control module, but I'm gonna start with the ignition coil right here, and we're good.
Being back on the road and fully functioning felt great, and took a huge weight off my shoulders that I had been carrying for a few thousand kilometers. The farther I drove west, the warmer it got, and this was great for our spirits. Not having to be shivering all the time left some room to really enjoy the journey and relax a bit. Or maybe not.
Well, I just lost my brakes. I just limped into Revelstoke. I'm at a little like rest area with a bunch of other older RVs and semi trucks. So I'm allowed to sleep here, which is nice. I have a spot, but I have no brakes. And tomorrow's the weekend, so it's gonna be tricky finding someone who can take me in. Let alone like find someone that's open, you know? So I have to work on that. I have to figure it out, and I'm pretty sure I fixed that issue I was having with the stalling. I'm almost there. I'm like a day's worth of driving away, so yeah. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, I gotta hobble my way down to Kelowna because no one could service me in Revelstoke, so I gotta take it easy because I still have no brakes, right? So I'm doing 60 in a 100 zone, so people are gonna absolutely hate my guts, but it's either people hate me or I die in a ditch or something, so I think the obvious choice is there. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit.
This part of the drive was ironically my favorite part. Not only was everything stunning, but I had been through so much already that I didn't care anymore. The pressure and the stress were no longer there. I still had a ways to go, but it didn't matter. I was finally just being present, not worrying about what's happened or what might happen, just taking it all in. Every tree, rock, ripple, and cloud. Everything. The atmosphere was calm, and so was I.
To forget what they say. A boat beside a dock in the sunlight. Nothing but the water in the sunrise now. Just a lack of an open mouth. Cause this town's just an ocean now. Bad, I miss this place, your head and your heart. And my dad still tells me when they're playing your songs, laughing at the way that you would say, if only, baby, there were cameras in the traffic lights. They'd make me a star. They'd make me...
Okay, so update. I left the mechanic. I have a leak at my rear drum. It's not the biggest leak, but he doesn't think he would be able to fix it until probably Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure why. I just don't think he was equipped to do that right now, even though he said he would. However, he told me he has faith in my abilities to drive like this to the destination that I'm reaching, which is Tofino, and then just have it sorted out when I get there. Just because I'm in a bit of a time crunch and I don't want to be super late to my new job, so. But I'm in Kelowna, it's like almost 4 o'clock, and instead of driving through the night again like I normally do, I'm gonna go see my buddy from college we're gonna spend some time together. I haven't seen him in years, so yeah, we're just gonna hang out and see what happens. So I'll see you guys then.
I had such a great time visiting my friend. It's one of those friendships where no matter how much time passes, your bond never really changes. You just pick up where you left off regardless of how long you've been apart. So, Keyston, if you're watching this, thank you so much for having me. I know I only stayed for one night, but we got to catch up on so much, and it was really a great time. And I had a blast seeing you, so thank you very much for your hospitality. I'm looking forward to making more memories like this.
And we're on our way. Hey, bud.
As I draw nearer to the final destination, I have a booked ferry ride and 90% of the driving out of the way. I started to feel a little sad that it was coming to an end, which is funny considering how crazy of a trip it was. But I knew that there was so much adventure to come, so I felt like I was back in that same place as before I left. Missing the past, but anticipating the future. But now with a totally different outlook on it. It was more graceful, more accepting, and less controlling. It felt right.
Alright, so we're in Sawasan, which is where we're catching the ferry in the morning to go to Nanaimo and then drive to Tofino. So, I basically just drove from Kelowna to Sawasan in one go. I stopped in Hope to get gas, check my brake fluid, and that was about it. Because I never got that leak in the rear left drum fixed, because he said he wouldn't be able to do it for a while, and he suggested I just keep going so I can make it to my job on time. So far so good, with the exception of me absolutely obliterating a deer in Abbotsford on the way here. So I got a nice little dent on my quarter panel there in the driver's side. So it's really unfortunate when you hit an animal. It's a very sad situation. So I'm gonna have to take some time to sleep that off. But we are safe. We're in Sawasan. Ferry at 7:45. I gotta be there about an hour before, so show up at like 6:30. I'm only like 10 minutes away from the terminal, so wake up at like 6 o'clock and get her done. I'm just gonna sleep at Walmart tonight, so feed the dog and get to bed, I guess. It's like 8:15, so it'll be the earliest I get to bed in a while, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty tired today, so Let's do it. We're on the way to the ferry. It's the last day of traveling, so I'm going to enjoy it. Wow, can't believe we made it this far. Let's do it, guys.
Air in my lungs till the road begins. As the last of the bugs leave their homes again, and I'm split in the road.
This is my third time taking the ferry to Vancouver Island, and every time it has been a very special experience. It always gives off the feeling of entering a new world, almost as if the ferry is a portal to a completely different timeline than what we are currently on. And while being aboard, it's as though time ceases to exist. The sound of the ocean, the birds, the smell of the sea breeze, and the vast blue seascape. It's also surreal, and truly puts you in a place of wonder. It's an experience like no other.
On earth, I am happy. Past Algebrook Road, I'm over the bridge, a minute from.
Alright guys, we're just pulling into the Nanaimo terminal, so we're back in the vehicle, had the dog up on the deck, just hanging out, because you can't stay on deck 2 while the ship is moving, so we had to leave. And we're back now. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is if you're planning on taking a BC ferry and you have a rig in similar size, if you're over 9 feet, you have to come on deck 2. So this is 23 feet long and 10.5 feet tall. So I'm on deck 2 and it costs $140 one way. So just keep that in mind.
What do you say we pack our things and get out of here? I've been saving all my life just to disappear. Can I hold you? Can I hold you to that? We can't go on living life hiding behind fear, and all the thoughts my fucked up head are finally coming clear. Can I hold you? Can I hold you to that? We could see the world. 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 What do you say we pack the car and get behind the wheel? All we have to do is drive and let the feelings steer. Can I hold you? Can I hold you to that? We could see the world. 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 Oh.
As I complete the final stretch to Tofino, I couldn't help but feel grateful for making it this far. Despite all of the roadblocks I faced, it's the feeling in these moments that make it all worth it. The feeling of bliss and freedom as I traverse the winding, mossy roads and breathe in the crisp, fresh air. These are the moments we were born to experience, breaking out of our shells and becoming truly what it means to be alive and to have a human experience. This is why I do what I do.
Make sure you stop at Euclid Poke Bowl, man. This is insane.
I'm slowly drifting to you. So stars and planets are calling me. A billion years away from you. I'm on my way. I'm on. I'm on.
Walking out onto what will be my view every day for the next year, I didn't have any words. I had actually made it, safe and sound. No damages other than a small dent from a deer and a huge dent from fuel costs. I had wondered for so long what it would feel like to finally be in this moment. And here I am, living it. It's not something I can easily describe, but it felt right. Like it was exactly where I was supposed to be. It didn't even feel all that foreign to be there. Almost like I'd been here in this exact moment before. Like when you experience a dream you've had in your waking life.
I heard about this frog. It's a very tiny frog, but it's also very special. You can only find it in the jungle, so far away from here. But if you find it, and if you touch it, your world can change forever. If you touch its skin, you can feel your body changing, and your vision also. Blue becomes red, and red becomes blue, and your mommy suddenly becomes your daddy, and everything looks like a giant cupcake. And you keep laughing and laughing and laughing. Nothing is ever quite the same, really. And after you finish laughing, it's time to turn into a frog yourself. It's very funny to be a frog. You can dive into the water and cross the rivers and the ocean. And you can jump all the time and everywhere. Do you want to play with me? We can be a whole group of friends, a whole group of frogs.
As I watched the waves roll in and the sun tuck away behind the horizon, I took that moment to acknowledge all the effort I had made to get here. All my blood, sweat, and tears put into building the RV, as well as planning and taking action to make this trip a reality. All the sacrifices I'd made to be able to have this moment. I knew as soon as I had arrived that it was all well worth it. To anyone with a dream in life, big or small, know that with a plan, any dream becomes a goal, and all goals accompanied by hard work and determination are inevitably going to manifest. As a wise man once said, one day, 4, day 1. It's your choice.